Welcome back to Index Card of Day 2017 with me, Creative Katie. This is card number 28, and the prompt that I'm using, although it might be the wrong day, was dashboard. And for me, that meant road trip, travel, journey. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out product links in the description box below. So I'm starting with the gessoed surface, and I really guess I didn't have to because I end up collaging, so I may have grabbed something. I had this suitcase from a travel magazine saying yes to adventure, and then I had these roads that I had cut out, and they've been sitting in my big blue box filing cabinet, and the quote, expand your horizons. So it's really nice to have options. Now I'm thinking of what color to put, and then I get the idea. Why don't I grab a map and collage the map onto the ICAD, and that becomes the background. It did not need to be gessoed in order to do this. Now I wanted some more texture, so I crumpled up the map. I'm planning to do a wash of paint on the map, and I want it to catch in all those nooks and crannies. I'm adhering it with just Mod Podge under and over and giving it a dry. Now that I was off camera, I sprayed it with my Lindy sprays, the Steampunk Sepia and the Iced Forest Green, I think it is. And I just let the colors mix and catch in the nooks and the crannies. You can still see the roads, and it kind of looks like it's kind of a relief map, like you have mountain ranges there. And I'm quite happy with this. Down later, I took a picture of the roads just on the plain map, and that is a perfectly acceptable option. Without the color, it would have been an equally effective ICAD. So I'm just cutting these, and I've cut out the trees on that, and I'm just going to collage them on to make a pleasing composition. Thinking I want a little bit more of the sepia, so I'm just spritzing that on and giving it a quick dry. I want the relief to stand out a little bit more. So after edging it with the felt applicator, I'm going to just rub the pads of my fingers with black paint on those higher spots, just to make it stand out so we see the texture a little bit more. You've seen me do this before. And it's just a very, very, very light pressure. And then I'm doing it with the felt applicator. Typically, I use my finger more so, but you have to be extremely light with the pressure. So I'm placing all the images where I'm going to collage them, and I'm reminding myself that because I use the Lindy sprays, they are water activated. So I do not want to mess them up too much. So I'm going to put the paint or the gel medium on the back of the magazine as much as possible, and try very hard not to rub on any surface where the Lindy spray is. I don't want to get that green on my brush and then get it on top of the roads or anything like that. and giving it a quick trim and re-edging those places that I cut off and had a raw edge. I'm just going to put the black onto the sentiment as well. And this sentiment, I can't remember what font it is, but it is one that I downloaded from defont.com. I noticed that it's a little too white, so I'm putting the Steampunk Sepia spray on it just to kind of grunge it up a little bit. The white just doesn't seem to fit. And do I want it up? Do I want it down? I decide I want the roads to stand out a little bit more, so I'm doing some floating with black acrylic paint. And I'm doing the floating both on the magazine, and then I go under that one top road just to get a little bit more perspective, if that's the right word. And there I go under it, just to make it a little bit more shaded so it looks like the one road is really goes on top of the other one. Remember, I don't want to touch the Lindy sprays with the brush because that will reactivate and potentially take away all the stuff that I created. So I grab my Inktense pencils and I'm going to pick a red close to the vehicle. I just want to bump up this color a little bit. So I'm just coloring roughly on there and then activating it with a wet brush. This is a very neutral color card, and I really want that red to pop. So don't be afraid to change the colors. Then I'm going to grab a couple greens, and the trees that I added, I just want to bump them up the color. So I'm just coloring them in. You could do this with Neocolor 2s, you could do it with Inktense blocks, you could do it with Distress crayons. It works really well. Remember, I have a coat of gel medium on top of the magazine cutouts. Kind of wish I would have put it at the top. I tried with the idea of making the sentiment red, like the car, like the vehicle. I wonder what that would have looked like. So then I decide I have this compass, not a compass, but kind of directional stamp. And I thought, oh, that would be kind of cool. And I'm putting black acrylic paint onto the stamp and trying to get a clear stamp. But remember, I have texture on here. So I'm struggling a little bit. I tried to restamp in the same place, and of course that made a mess. So I take a deep breath and I get a baby wipe and I clean it up. So then I re-add some of the Lindy sprays after I get a stamp on there. And I add one to the bottom as well. It just goes with the whole travel theme. And there I'm adding some sepia. And because I stamped in acrylic paint, it's not going to reactivate. I don't have to worry about that. So a very different card for me, not my usual bright colors, but I think it suits the theme. Love the texture that's there. Here's a close-up of what it may have looked like if I hadn't colored the map. And here are some close-ups of the finished ICAD. Thanks for joining me on my ICAD journey. See you for the next ICAD.